Hey, thank you so much for tuning in to Instrumental Intel. I'm your host, music producer, Chick with Beats, and I'm glad that you've joined me. Today's episode has music industry news, beats by me for your inspiration, and because it's Mental Health Month, later I'll be joined by my special guests, mental health professionals Cinqué, Barlow, and Phire. We're going to talk about mental health and the artist experience, so I'm excited to be bringing this episode to you. And before I go ahead and drop that first beat, I gotta give a shout out to my home station, Grander Radio out of Grand Rapids, Michigan, and with that, let's go. music producer Chick with Beats, back with the Music Biz Brief. BMG and Concord are merging, with Bertelsmann taking a 67% stake and Concord's CEO set to lead the combined company, of course pending regulatory approval and a projected close in the second half of the year. The new business will operate across publishing and recorded music with a focus on scaling rights, tech, and global reach, highlighting ongoing consolidation and increased competition for catalogs and artist deals. iHeartMedia and SiriusXM are in early talks to merge, with Irving Azoff and Apollo Global Management advising on a potential deal that would combine major terrestrial and satellite radio platforms. The discussions are still preliminary with no guarantee of a deal, but they reflect continued pressure on traditional radio as companies look to scale and compete in an increasingly streaming-dominated audio market. Spotify reported Q1 2026 revenue of 4.53 billion euros, which is about $5.30 billion, up 8% year over year. Premium subscribers hit 293 million, and total users reached 761 million, despite recent US price increases. Growth was driven by subscriptions, while ad revenue dipped, but profitability improved sharply with operating income up 40% and net income more than tripling. Universal Music Group is selling 50% of its stake in Spotify for roughly $1.4 billion, with proceeds going toward an expanded $1 billion share buyback program while maintaining its remaining stake. The company says artists will share in the sale proceeds, continuing its long-standing policy, as Universal accesses value from its streaming equity while reinforcing investor confidence during broader market pressure. Universal reported Q1 2026 revenue of $3.39 billion, up 8.1% year over year, driven by growth in streaming subscriptions, physical sales, and publishing, along with contributions from its Downtown acquisition. The results reflect continued momentum in core music revenue streams, with subscription streaming leading the way as the company expands and invests across recorded music and publishing. Universal Music Group and Sony Music Entertainment want a U.S. judge to force Suno to disclose its licensing deal with Warner Music Group, arguing that it contradicts Suno's claim in its copyright lawsuit that no viable market exists for licensing music used to train AI models. A judge has so far declined to compel disclosure, but the dispute centers on whether that Warner deal can be used as evidence that an AI training licensing market already exists. And honestly, that's a fair point. Spotify is rolling out a new Verified by Spotify badge that goes beyond profile ownership to show artists' authenticity, with AI-generated or AI persona artists currently ineligible at launch. The badge will prioritize artists with real-world presence and consistent engagement as Spotify tightens standards around identity and transparency in response to the rapid rise of AI-generated music. Believe and TuneCore are now blocking distribution of AI-generated tracks made on unlicensed platforms like Suno, using detection tools to identify and reject content tied to models trained on unlicensed music. At the same time, the companies are expanding partnerships with licensed AI platforms like 11 Labs and Udio, reinforcing a growing divide between approved and unapproved AI tools as the industry tightens control over how generative AI content is created and distributed. Alright, that's a wrap for this week's Music Biz Brief. I'm going to take a quick pause for the cause, and then I'll be back with my special guests, mental health professionals Cinqué, Barlow, and Phire right after this. Keep it locked. Hey, I'm a chick with beats, multi-genre music producer and strategist to indie artists and labels. Visit achickwithbeats.com for resources for artists and instrumentals in various genres available for songs, vlogs, blogs, podcasts, themes, TV, film, commercials, and more. Once again, that's achickwithbeats.com. That's ACHICKWITBEATZ.com. Let's make something happen. Hey, thank you so much for tuning in to Instrumental Intel. I'm your host, music producer, Chick with Beats, and I'm thrilled to say that I have mental health professionals Phire and Cinqué Barlow in the virtual building with me. And before both of you introduce yourselves, I would like to thank you for taking the time out of your busy schedules to come and share with us.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. So, maybe Cinqué, you want to start with your background?
Sure. And first, thank you for asking me again. You're one of the few people when you ask, I can't say no. It's a short list of folks. I'm Cinqué. I'm a licensed clinical social worker, licensed in Connecticut and Massachusetts. I live and work in Connecticut, but I also have some consulting in Massachusetts. My career has taken me through community health centers, hospitals, inpatient, outpatient facilities. I was a clinical director for a program that worked with corrections. Currently working at community health center part-time, and then working on my own private practice. All demographics, all the communities, all genders, gender identification, people that identify in all ways, shapes, and forms, all socioeconomic status. I'll just add, currently my focus has been on working with seniors in various communities.
Amazing. Thank you for all that you do.
Thank you.
All right, Phire.
Wow. Thank you so much for having me here. I'm Phire. I am a writer and an artist. I have my master's in counseling psychology for like the last 11 years. I do work in specifically sexual assault and intimate partner violence and relationship violence. And I do trauma. Actually, I'm healing centered. So healing centered engagement focuses on community care and working through the community, providing resources and doing community focused and based work, or collective focused and based work that provides and supports people in need. And it requires a lot of educating as well as maintaining and staying educated. And I work with people from across genders and across age ranges, as well as providing like writing and, self-care and self-awareness support.
Amazing.
Thank you.
Thank you. So yeah, both of you are doing some incredibly important work. And so yeah, just kind of want to shout you out. In those certain situations, you've ever been out and maybe somebody just starts to confide in you. I know for me, it can be overwhelming. So the fact that both of you do this and still help people is just amazing. I can't imagine having that kind of capacity to be able to handle that on a massive scale the way that you both do.
Thank you.
Yeah. So to kind of kick it off, it's not very uncommon for artists to deal with different mental health struggles. What are some of the common mental health problems you both see creatives deal with?
I can start. So it's one of the biggest things that I think that I have recognized with creatives is because there's so much judgment in choosing to follow the artistic and be more intuitive, which is definitely the antithesis of the culture that we live in. We see that I've seen that creatives tend to want to focus on like their heart and want to follow they want to follow a more intuitive path, and there's a lot of judgment behind that. So there's a lot of almost like an adverse to the judgment, a lot of ego, a lot of issues with, showing up in the room and arrogance, oftentimes making others feel small, especially when creatives are maybe feeling less confident, or when confidence is shaken. And so, or feeling like, or just projecting onto others. There's a lot of projection. So those are some of the things that I think I've seen a lot of people dealing with.
Okay. How about you, Cinqué?
Yeah, just to go off of that, great way to kick this off. I see a lot of it starting with isolation. Being isolated as I think all creatives, I know we're keeping it to music, but all creatives, when you get really deep into something, hyper focused on something, passionate about whatever your task is, there's an isolation. Your world needs to get really, really small and focused. And out of that, I often see folks struggle initially, depression, anxiety, right? The isolation. Of course, you're trying to surround yourself with positive folks, but it can really, if you're not comfortable in that space, it can really lead to that. And then I think Fire Free kind of, the pressure, especially for new artists. Like, let's, we're all creative. We want to get this thing out, but come on, money matters. And if you're just starting, to jump in and just solely do that, your creative thing, yeah, it's what you want to do, but it's not as easy as folks make it out to be, because money matters, right? And then also, if you're not dedicating 100% of your time, you feel like you're not doing enough. But you don't want a plan B, so to speak. But so all that plays in folks' minds. But I think whenever you're dedicated to whatever medium, whatever craft, whatever passion, there's an isolation factor, and that can kind of bleed into other issues, aside from the depression and anxiety.
Mm. I just want to say that you touched on a lot of stuff that I've experienced, basically the same kind of way. And, I don't really feel embarrassed about sharing that, because, it definitely is a struggle. And also, Fire Free, with what you said, I've encountered other artists that way. And, it's kind of negatively impacted my desire to collaborate with them because of that.
Yeah.
So, yeah. So this one is kind of a twofold. I guess we got to kind of split the fork in the road here, but I want to make sure that we cover both. But I'll start with saying, with what you were mentioning about dealing with egos and that sort of thing, how do you think artists can kind of, stay confident about what they do without trying to compare themselves to their peers and other colleagues?
So I think one of the biggest things is I've always had to lead with, myself is my biggest competitor, and always beat my best, right? So if I put my best out there, I'm always going to go out against my best. And that means that I'm not looking at other artists and going, oh my gosh, well, they did this and I didn't. But what that does mean is, if they did something better than me, then how can I step my game up? And that also kind of puts that also makes me put my ego in check, because if I come out on my best, but I feel like somebody is blowing me out the water, or I'm not doing what I need to be doing, then then that also allows me to say, okay, next time I can do it this way, or this is the approach that I can take, or I can put this into my work. And it also allows me to maintain and keep that respect for my peers, because as Cinqué was saying, isolation is huge, and so it doesn't help when we're looking at each other already feeling bad, and then we also have a group of people who's making us feel worse, and then now it's like I don't want to talk to nobody. But when I'm able to say, okay, I respect you, And when I'm able to respect myself and understand how to come it better or put a better foot forward for myself, that allows me to not look at my peers as my competition, but as my collaborative partners, as my cooperative partners.
Love that.
Yeah, I agree with that 100%. I think sometimes people get wrapped up in comparing, measuring, particularly whether it's art, music, writing, what have you. And I think that's natural. But I think also it's important for creatives to remember to kind of reframe that thinking, as instead of it being a competition, it can really be a point of inspiration and motivation if you're looking at it the correct way.
Yes.
You're trying to create something and you see someone over there. I mean, that's not naturally competition.
Yeah.
If you try to strike up a conversation or just say, hey, that's really good, and you don't even have to verbalize or any of that, but if you can frame it in your head as, wow, that they went in a direction I wasn't thinking of. Now, even if you go in that direction, it's going to be different because you're a different individual, right? So I don't think it needs to necessarily be a competition. There's various ways of looking at it. You know what I mean? And I like to see folks look at it more as, these are my peers. Oh wow, they're inspiring me. They're pushing me. That kind of thing.
Yeah.
So.
Okay, now that's excellent. Love what both of you said about that. On the flip side of that, if you're on the receiving end of those people wanting to compete with you, are there any coping strategies for people to not isolate when they've experienced this multiple times?
Mm, mm. That's really good. Well, um,
I'm
hmm.
asking for a friend. No, I'm just kidding. But
But let me think of, maybe Fire has something to say. Let me think on that one. That's a good question.
There's a lot. So to be on the receiving end, it is easy to isolate. There's also one of the things that I think is really important to remember is if somebody's making me feel bad, there's probably other people in the room that are not feeling that great, right? So something that if and this takes some energy, but if you have the energy for it, go and talk to some of the other people that might have been isolated. Those could be good collaborations. I mean, not to be, but I think a chick with beats you and I kind of did some of that back in the day.
Absolutely.
Also kind of taking a time. A lot of times the spots happen. Sometimes when you're just starting, it might be in an open mic. So definitely connecting with other people. Also remembering that a lot of people like work. A lot of people like the work basically because either they don't have the time to make it or they just enjoy the energy or they like the vibes. So just talking to other people, for every one person that is hating, there's like 5 people that are showing love, that are giving love. And focusing on the love energy and on the positive energy and community is always going to be way better than focusing on the haters in the room. A lot of times too, people don't necessarily know who the hater is because the hater hasn't necessarily come to them, you know what I mean? So so they'll be like, oh, I love this person, and you might know differently. So it's like, but like knowing that person who is loving those people, like, it's cool to be cool with that person and to meet those people and to build those relationships. And then there's also the time that that is all being able to, once you're out of the vulnerable space. But then there's also the aspects of understanding your own vulnerability. I am a heavy analyzer, and I'll just go ahead and say this too. With self-reflection and taking time, and I never, for anyone who doesn't feel like you bring a lot of ego into the space, one of the things that it's okay to say is maybe my work is just that good. Maybe I just have a hater because my work is just that valuable. And when you can hold that, it doesn't even matter anymore. But I'll pass it.
Yeah, I
Love
like
that.
that. I like that a lot. I think networking is huge.
Mm,
And yeah, we want to kind of isolate at times, and I think we need to at times, to build our try out new things. But even
mm,
for me on a personal level, I was like, forget it. I'm gonna do my own thing. I'm just gonna, because you have feelings, feel kind of certain way, about
mm,
certain folks. But I noticed too. Then once I put myself out there, um, there are folks who are, at least interested in what you're doing, willing to collaborate. But you'll never know if you keep to yourself. And I see it in others, but I've experienced myself. So
yeah.
yeah, networking is huge. And you don't know where that's going to lead you. You
Right.
really don't. And it's important to do. Just because you meet someone doesn't mean like it's going to pop off right away.
Right.
It may be later or it may never, but still, those contacts, connections are so key.
Yeah.
Just push yourself out of your comfort zone at times. You don't have to always be out and about, but I would say at some point, just put yourself out there.
Right. I
Yeah.
love that. I feel like this is kind of a natural segue to talk about social media and
Mm.
using it as an artist. So, with points that both of you raised, that's a great way to kind of connect with other people, especially in different areas if you're not traveling and whatever the case may be. But Fire Free, when you mentioned focusing on the love and not the hate, I know that I personally on social media look and I see a lot of people upset or, feeling disappointed when they don't get the number of reactions that they were looking for or feeling bad. But then, I believe that I've shared this on the show before. Like, let's say maybe you see some artist getting, 20,000 likes, whatever the case may be, but,
Mm.
you got five. That's still five people that took the time out of their day to
Yeah.
say, hey, I like this. And I think that so many artists minimize that. So if you're standing in a room and you're performing and, five people are giving you a standing ovation,
Mhm.
Mm.
why would you pay attention to those who didn't show up?
Uh,
You know what I mean? Like those numbers, I feel like social media kind of makes artists feel like it's small, but when you really think about however many likes you got, those people being in the room with you, patting you on the back, is still something to celebrate. So, with that being said, what do you think are some of the mental health risks tied to social media for artists?
I I think a lot of times we do get into that, and you talk dopamine and serotonin. I know that we do talk about like the dopamine push and the way that social media feeds us. But one thing that we have to remember is like the algorithm loves hate. The
Mm,
algorithm will push hate out before it will push out love. A lot of times if people, especially like for me, I know a lot of people are like, don't with the comments, but a lot of times when you read comments, the algorithm will show you some BS before it
yeah.
will show you the people who are like this and like who are coming out encouragement. So I think that's a big thing. I think the biggest thing is that we don't live in social media. We live in reality, and creating a boundary with social media is something that I'm seeing people are doing less and less.
Mm,
And so as somebody that I know we are going through, we're going through a huge transition right now of getting off of and not being so deeply embedded into our technology. And I encourage everyone to embrace it, because our technology, yeah, it's cool to write online. I definitely have my preferences, or to write, using clouds and all the software. But there is something very powerful about being able to be in spaces with other people, being able to share those spaces, being able to share idea spaces in person. And if that's available to you, I encourage you to do it, because what you'll recognize is that a lot of people have a lot of the same challenges that you do. Some challenges look different, and it's sharing those ideas are encouraging. And also being able to build those relationships, because in real spaces with real people, not that people online are not real, but in authentic spaces where people are actually able to kind of live more among each other, there's a lot of ability to kind of recognize that, okay, this person is into this over here and I like this over there, or I like this, I like to be able to add to make my music, do all the crescendo and decrescendo and all of this. And so when you realize that it's not even a competition, really, you like to do the same things, but there's different components that you like to emphasize. It becomes more about, how can we make this, how can I bring out more of what you do into what I do, or how can what you do enhance what I do, and it becomes much more complementary than opposing, if that makes sense.
It does. It does. What are your thoughts, Cinqué?
Yeah, the main thing I like what you said. The main thing is the in-person piece. I think that's huge. And that's part of, I think I mentioned before, like putting yourself out there in person is very different. And social media has a way of, there's good things about it, but it also has a way of letting you kind of isolate and hide behind things. And we know what we see on social media sometimes, a lot of times is warped. It's not real. To your point, when you were saying, like, if you get 5 likes, that's good, which it is. Like, think about it. I'm old. Call me an old G, whatever. But think about how music was done. Let's say 70s, 80s, when a new band, a new group would go to a local place and play in front of 15 people, right? That's how you build up. That's how you tweak and get better at your craft. And that's how you build an audience, an ecosystem of folks who are into your stuff, whether it's art, music, or writing or whatever. That's how I think, if artists look at it as like, hey, I got to perfect my craft, my skills. And then what that allows me is to kind of create my own little world. And now social media is great at that. You can really draw folks in and have them locked into you. But it takes time. That's the thing, time to build that with anything. And I see a lot of folks not wanting to be patient with that, and I get it, but it for any new thing, it takes time to build. And I don't care what you're seeing on social media with people just say quit your job and go do it. It doesn't work like that. Let's be real. So I think the time and effort piece is what gets lost in this. Really, look at I've talked to younger folks, like, look how it was done. It was an organic process. You get together, you create something, you put it out in a smaller venue, and that's just how you build. Instead of looking for that big hit, 2 billion views or whatever you want to say, you know what I mean? It is nice now that people can get music out quickly, right? Versus back in the day. That's a fantastic thing. But let's not lose, the human side of that. We don't need to have cookie cutter everything, right? And to be original and to have an audience, to have an ecosystem, it takes time to build, so.
Definitely. Love the points that both of you raised. Another thing that I kind of wanted to mention while we were on the topic of social media is that specifically with Instagram, it feels as if they're trying to push people away from likes, for the simple fact that I know you've probably seen it's been there for a while with the friends tab. So now you get to see people that you follow, the things that they're liking. And, just from doing social media, listening on other platforms like Threads, Now people are afraid to like things because Instagram is snitching on them. So I kind of wanted to raise the point for anybody listening that may not have been paying attention to how this shift has been happening. But just because you didn't get a like doesn't mean that people didn't like it. They just don't want, themselves exposed in ways that they don't feel that they should be. And if you notice, like now they even have it on your profile where you can see your own views where other people might not see it, with the exception of reels, but like on that main page, they're showing you that to let you know, like, okay, people are still interacting with this. It's still engagement. Engagement isn't going to look the way that it used to, because of these changes that they've made. But there are other metrics that are more important than, like counts, which is definitely a vanity metric. But yeah,
Right.
I just kind of wanted to point that out for anybody that might be dealing with that kind of frustration as well. So yes, 5 people is still a lot, but maybe it was even more than that, but they don't want their friends going through scrolling and seeing everything. I actually had someone tell me once about a beat that I posted, and he says, yeah, I liked it, but I didn't like it on Facebook. And I asked why. I felt like that was a weird thing to admit to me. He said, because if I liked it, it was going to show up in other people's feeds and I wanted to get it before anybody else had a chance.
Right.
And I'm like, you know what? I didn't even think about it like that. So yeah, it goes deeper than the likes for anybody that's kind of been using that as their main metric. Like, don't tie the value of your art to the number of likes that you get.
Right.
Yeah.
And I think it goes back to the in-person piece too. Like, that's a nice measure of social media, but come on, get out there, do your thing live, meet up with folks. Because I think I've seen a shift, even in, the therapy realm, I've seen a shift into folks wanting to be more in person. Virtual is cool, but in person's a different thing. And it's an important thing because, it's really important for creatives. So don't be afraid of that. That's all I can say.
I love that.
To piggyback off of that too, but that also goes into like, to kind of talk about that a little bit. One of the artists that I have been able and blessed to be in connection with has kind of created a niche, and through building out, his name is Sammy Shibalak. And in building out that niche, he's taken communities, different people in different communities that have supported him, and he's kind of used that to kind of build and amplify his music. And the reason why I feel like this fits here is because as you pointed out, there's a competition piece there, right? There's a whole, like, I don't want everybody to know what like, this is gold, and and so when you have an interconnected group or community that you can say, okay, this is the piece that I kind of want y'all to understand, or this is what I want y'all to look at, that offers a different conversation, and it allows you to get kind of that feedback. So that's also something that if people are struggling with that, it was a really cool and innovative way to kind of bring your like fan base and your community together, to kind of offset some of that, because there's a lot going on.
And just, I want to real quick, the copycat, that you kind of copycat thing you kind of touched on. I think, again, that's another opportunity to look at things from a different perspective. How many times have we heard, oh, this artist sounds like, or this sounds like, this beat is like, yeah, okay, it's like, but it's not, it'll never be the same because it's an individual thing. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Right.
I was having an argument with someone way back. Oh, DJ sounds like X, Y, and Z. And I'm like, yeah, but it's different. I said it's not the same. And so there really is no room for copycat if you think about it like that. Yeah, I can take, say like okay, so for instance, I have a program I do with seniors, right? I can give that material to anyone, any licensed person or anyone who wants to do it, but it's not going to be the same as mine. And that's not a bad thing. Like,
Right.
each individual has their own thing to add to it, right? So I think we got to get out of this mind as they're going to steal this, or it's a copycat thing. I don't know. That's just my take on it.
Oh,
So
definitely. I've been told, oh, this your beat, this sounds like so and so. Like, they're great producers,
right,
but it's like, but no, it doesn't.
it
Like,
doesn't.
yeah, we
Right,
listen to the same kind of music, and I know you
right,
think that's a compliment, but
right.
no, not really.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
Exactly.
where I'm going with that one. Yeah.
Yeah. I've heard that a few times and kind of felt
Hmm.
that way. So I'm glad that you pointed that out. And yeah, I love what you mentioned, Fire Free, about what Sammy's doing. And I feel like, that's some free game and tips for
Yeah.
artists to
Yeah.
to kind
Hmm.
of build upon.
Definitely. Yeah.
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 And so I do have to ask, I can't believe how quickly this time is winding down, but I want to make sure that we cover burnout and creative blocks for artists. I think it's something that everyone kind of deals with from time to time. As far as creative blocks go, I heard a quote once before that said, "You don't have writer's block. You just don't want to write about what you're supposed to be writing about." And I do kind of
No.
agree with that. So, yeah, do you guys have any tips for, balancing burnout or creative blocks?
Cinqué,
Well,
if
mhm. Oh, me? Sorry. Um, I mean, burnout again. And when I'm sorry, when I hear creatives, my mind doesn't go just to music, art,
Mhm.
writing, dance. It's just in general. There's plenty of folks who aren't in those realms who still struggle with all that we're talking about, right? So, um, burnout in any field, when you're there, right? And it is time to take a break, a pause, Um, and that does help a lot, as long as you get back to it.
Mm.
I think when we push and push and push, sometimes we can get through it, but then, that can be detrimental. We haven't even touched on, substance abuse with folks in these realms, right? And why
Mhm.
that occurs, and then what comes out of that, right? So I think it's important when you feel something, just pause and say, all right, I gotta, shift into something else. I don't know. But that's just, I don't know. That's my take on it. Because some things you just can't push through. Some things you gotta stop, reflect, and
Mhm.
readjust.
Yeah, that's
um,
very true. I'm sorry, go ahead.
totally agree. I was going to say that with burnout, one of the things that hits me is satiation. I feel the sense of satisfaction, but there's still questions. There's still
Mm,
more. So
mhm,
it's like, and that's around the time that it's like, okay, let me step back. With feeling blocked, I usually tend to have to change my medium to feel refreshed. So,
yeah.
um, if it's like right now, I've been heavy into crochet, but if I'm
Mhm,
feeling annoyed with crochet, then it's time to write. And if I'm tired of writing, let me go experience the plants for a little while. Let me go
mhm,
touch grass. Let me go. So it's like, essentially what it is I look for fresh air. I don't look for when I feel like things are stale. I look for when I want something fresh or new or exciting or just different. And so I'll change my mediums because what ends up happening is we unlock things that we didn't realize we weren't, engaging with. So I think that
Mm.
that's always a beautiful thing to seek out where you can get some fresh air, feel inspired.
yeah. I like that fresh air. Yeah, it's a shift, and I think we all do it
Yes.
to some degree.
Yeah.
I know I'll get wrapped up in a thing, and I'll say, you know what, I gotta do some gardening or
Yeah.
whatever. And I think those in the creative spaces, art, music, dance, I think it's even more important
Yeah.
to have that mind shift. Okay, yeah, this is cool, but I gotta go do something else. Not abandon what your passion is, but yeah, you do need to shift. It's a different kind of go to a different channel, I guess. I don't know.
Yes.
I love that. All right. Yeah. Thank you so much. I really appreciate both of you taking the time out of your schedule to share all these gems and things that artists can actually apply to kind of help themselves within their careers. And yeah, before I let either one of you go, I'd like for you to have a chance to let people know where they can follow you, if there's anything that you want them to check out, or even if maybe it's for people within your region that could come to something that you're physically doing, whatever the case may be. I want to make sure that both of you have time to promote yourself and what you're doing.
Oh, okay. Thank you. As I said, I'm licensed clinical social worker. Currently doing some community work at a local health clinic part time. But um, I'll just shout out. I have my own private practice and support services I provide there. I'm just going to give the website, which is probably the easiest way. I'm also on IG. But the website is bestlife.services, and that'll bring you right to my site. I'm on IG as what am I as? I'm on IG. Oh my gosh, I'm blanking out.
I always pick the wrong one.
Yeah, blank it out. Wait a minute. It is Cinqué underscore LCSW underscore LICSW, as I'm licensed in Connecticut and Mass. But yeah, check out Best Life dot services. Best Life dot services, that has all my services. And again, I do consulting in Connecticut and Massachusetts. Thank you for asking me to be on, and I'm dead serious. There's a short list of folks. I mean, less than five. Who, anytime they ask, I say yes, and you're definitely one of them.
I appreciate you so much.
Yeah, appreciate you.
Thank you so much for allowing me to be here. And you can find me at Free, Free, Phire, Phire.com. You can also find and follow me on Substack at Free Your Phire, Phire. I can also I'm on Instagram, and I'm Free Phire on Instagram. And I also am open. So if you are open to kind of reaching out, you can catch me on Instagram, and you can also contact me at PHIREFREE at gmail.com if you have any questions or inquiries.
Excellent. Thank you. And I will tie the links into the transcript on the website for anybody that, if you're driving, listening to this, make sure you check it out. Click the links. Please do follow them and connect with them. And once again, I just really appreciate both of you. This has been a great discussion, a very important discussion, and thanks for sharing your wisdom.
No problem. Thank you. I'll also get when we wrap up, I'll give you my email, which is a good way to contact me, my business email, and also messages on IG will work as well. Thanks.
All right, and that's a wrap for this episode of Instrumental Intel. I've been your host, music producer Chick with Beats, and once again, I want to thank you for tuning in. I'd like to thank my special guests, mental health professionals Phire Free and Cinqué Barlow, for coming through and dropping those gems and sharing their wisdom. And please do make sure that you contact them, keep up with what they've got going on. I'd also like to give a shout out to my home station, Grander Radio, out of Grand Rapids, Michigan. Make sure you come back next week. I got more goodness lined up for you. So, till next time, you know where to find me. Tune in, tell a friend, and I'll see you then. Peace.